Oh yeah, Friday. Does it feel like a Friday, Josh? It feels like a Friday.
Fuck man, I don't know what it feels like anymore.
Have you
I was looking at where was I? Oh no, I realized the other day that Enjoy is only 13 days old, and I was like, what?
I saw that cast and I was like, no,
that's impossible.
No.
It really freaked me out, but stoked on everything we've been able to do in those 13 days.
Yeah, I was looking at the DGen contract, and it's only 2.5 months old, 3 months old, something like that. God. Or liquidity was added that long ago. Whatever was on Deck Screener. I was like,
I was actually thinking about my birthday the other day, and I was like, I can't believe I'm still 32. Like, I feel like I've been this age for so fucking long.
That was one thing I was really cracking up about last cycle when I got into crypto in 2020 with a friend of mine. He was like, dude, the secret to long life is novelty. He was like, 1 year in crypto feels like 10 years, like everything new, learning all the time.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
So we would always say that, yeah, secret to a long life is novelty, which is interesting. Don't know if that's true, but
well, I think we are three examples of human beings that chase novelty rather aggressively. So let's just make it true. Why not? All right, folks, welcome here. We're going to kick it off in a second, giving people a few minutes to come and join the stream. Episode 21 of Internet Explorers. I mean, we should just measure our lives on Internet Explorers episodes. Eventually, we will be able to do this. We're going to be, you're going to be 62 and looking back at whatever the math is on that and being like, how have I had so much fun with the novelty this lovely platform has provided?
Episode 9,000 and
whatever that would be.
If we're still doing that and people are listening, then I don't know. Let's go.
Josh, I mean, people are listening. I know it's like a very weird thing for us because even in being on the stream, it's hard to truly engage in the chat. We're not people who are tracking stats here aggressively whatsoever. This is like a thing that we truly enjoy doing. But I was saying to you, like in South by Southwest last week, I had 15 people unprompted come up and say how much they love this. And so, I mean, I loved hearing that because it feels like we don't see what, it's still very two-dimensional or maybe one-dimensional or not as engaging a process as maybe would be ideal. But I'm looking forward. I think we're going to go do a live recording of Internet Explorers at FarCon in May. I feel like I was thinking about that last night and being like, oh, that's going to be a fun, different experience. We'll see how that goes. All right, we got people here. Welcome everybody in the chat. If you're tuning in on Twitter or on LinkedIn, come hang out at live.seedclub.xyz. I'll do that again in a second. Should we just kick it off? We got some guests waiting in the green room right now. We got a lot of fun stuff happening today.
In the dressing room. They're in the dressing room.
Let's do it. Back, episode 21 of Internet Explorers, a weekly rundown show where we, online individuals, explore new consumer internet experiences. What episode 21? Josh, welcome, Josh. We got Peace on the VJ skill sets here, clicking buttons. How we doing, gentlemen?
Hello.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Alrighty, so episode 21 of Internet Explorers. If you're hanging out over on the other channels, come hang out with us at live.seedclub.xyz. We're here every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time, some other time for the people who are crazy enough to tune in. And we got listeners in Tokyo, we got listeners in Europe, we got all sorts of Internet Explorers all over the world. Is there anything we need to say to people before we jump in? We've got a couple of lovely guests here. What's happening in our world? We're doing something at FarCon. FarCon's the next big event that we're doing. It's going to be in May.
Yeah, we're just cooking on all cylinders, right? We're very imminently announcing SEO 7. It's been selected, just finalizing some details. FarCon's coming up. We're cooking on some Enjoy stuff. We got a lot going on.
We're cooking. And it feels like there's sort of this like ever present evolution of user experience, of new fun things to go do on the internet. And maybe that's a good lead in to our guest of today. So I'll turn over to you, Josh.
Yeah, what's up, fellas? So we got John and Tim here from from Nilly from Bracket Game. I don't know what the appropriate intro is, so maybe I'll just use that as an opportunity to throw it over to you and let you guys tell us what the heck you're building.
Yeah, for sure, man. Good to see you guys. I want to know first who's like the mystery voice popping in. Like, I love this. Like, there's like a genie in the screen. I don't know if we've met.
That's right. So, hi, my name is Peace. I'm the web VJ. I'm the Twitter account behind the screen here, and I'll interject every now and then when I can't be quiet.
The important part here is we were in an offsite in the beginning of this year or at end of last year and found ourselves just completely enamored by the screen in the middle of the room that Peace had connected his computer to, and he just clicks buttons. So he's the most impeccable button clicker, link clicker,
So this
zip
is all
file
Peace.
downloader.
This is all Peace, like roaming around, like Peace's like subconscious internet.
Exactly.
Cool.
It's the core of Internet Explorers here, frankly. And
he'll click anything. He'll download any file. He raw dogs the internet in the purest of ways.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, introduce yourselves and what you're building.
Yeah, for sure, man. It is. So, John, I don't know if you want to start. I mean, first, John and I actually best friends since 5th grade. Played doubles tennis together, like competitively, like state championship high school team. So like we go way back. We've been building this what you see now is Bracket Game together for over a year now. And so about the Nilly Bracket Game thing, there's sort of like they're both still alive. Like we kind of have two projects that sort of weave together. And we can go into like the origin story of that, but it's basically kind of all around on the surface sports. But I would say like the deeper thing that John and I are really interested in is like what's really fun about crypto that people who are not in crypto haven't experienced yet, right? Like that's like our really guiding, like what's super fun about it when you're in that like other people haven't done yet. They don't even know that this is a thing. And I think we also kind of think about the flip side of that is like, what's still fun about real life, right? That like crypto people would like to do their thing in. So like, this is like really what guides us is like, for a long time now, John and I have been talking to people and like kind of making people uncomfortable in both crypto and in like the normal world, because it's like a little bit stretching people outside of their boundaries. But like, that's our thing is like, it's guided by fun. What's fun in each of these worlds, and like how do we bring them together for people? So that's kind of abstract, but like I'll let John go into some of the like actual product stuff for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the origin story it holds weight here. Like Tim and I met at a tennis tournament. I think that the thing that I told him was like a hack on how to beat this player.
Number one seed.
It was like the number one.
The number one seed, and then this other kid came up to me, and he was looking. I was literally looking at the bracket. This is not a joke, dude. I was looking at the tennis bracket. I was about to play the number one seed. This is like the kid who hit puberty in 5th grade, right? Like, and you know, I'm tiny. Me and John are both tiny. And somebody comes up and he's got these like cool Oakley sunglasses on, and he's like, "Hey, the way you beat him is you got to make him mad." And so John was just teaching me you got to celebrate when he hits it out, like when he made an unforced error. If you pump your fist or something, he gets so infuriated that he can't play. This is no joke. Like, it's how to hack this bracket. This is the first time we ever met.
That's great.
That's actually true. And I think like Tim and I, it's funny because like personally, like I spent like the last 15 years or so in like this Web 2 world, in like kind of like a legacy branding world. And what I saw personally, and I think Tim and I both recognized, was the potential of smart contracts in general as a primitive that could just do anything. right? And people, I feel like they don't understand that yet, like normal people. And so we kind of sat down and said, we could build anything. Like, what do we want to do to get normal people on chain, essentially?
Yeah.
And to us, it was just a no-brainer that sports is like one of the last vestiges of community that we have left. And if you just look at the analog to, just like the last cycle or the crypto space in general, these communities that form organically, that stuff already exists in the real world. And that's kind of like, we understand it because we grew up obsessed with college sports, and we're from kind of like a Midwestern town, Louisville, who people live and breathe this stuff. So that's really, like, on the surface, what you're looking at here, the bracket stuff, like there's a lot kind of like a depth behind it.
So let's start at the top here. What the hell's bracket? What is like, why should people care? You launched yesterday, so very timely. They're still very early.
Yep.
What are you building?
Yep. So the core concept is like sports fans are now used to, like, they've always loved their team and now they're betting on their team. Bracket is about owning your team. Like, what would the experience of having ownership of your team actually feel like? How is it different than going and cheering in the stands? And so bracket is really just sort of like, you come in, it looks a lot like a stock market, right? Because like the thing that we want to indicate is like, hey, you're taking ownership and a position in your team. So you go buy voting shares of your team. And the fun thing is that in bracket, the teams, so the shares go up as more people buy in. It's just like a bonding curve, right? So that moves the market price. So you've got, like, I got my portfolio of teams, the prices are moving. But the cool thing is that it's called bracket game because the performance of the team affects the payouts, the performance of the team in real life, and in this case, in the March Madness tournament, affects the payouts that the team receives. So the better your team does in real life, the more of a payout the thing that you invested in. So it's invest in your team instead of like, okay, bet on your team. I took these odds that Vegas made and it's over. Game's over now. I'm like cashing my ticket or throwing it away. This is like invest in your team, right? Like maybe you're trading in and out to get like more voting shares and get more ownership of your team. But you're investing in it. You could buy in and keep it forever, right? This game's not just running this year, but will run like over and over with the same voting shares. So that's the core concept, is like not just cheer for your team, or not to just like bet on your team, but like become an actual owner, an owner experience of your team and your fan base.
Right. So 6% of trading fees, right, go to this prize pool focused on March Madness, and then based on where the team finishes, those funds get distributed accordingly. I think 30% goes to the champion. I think already there's 11 million degen of trading volume already. So it looks like that prize pool will be meaningful and fun and substantial.
Yes, we launched at 4:20 yesterday, so we aren't quite 24 hours yet, and there's a good amount of trading volume, and we're working on some things to also, infuse the prize pool even outside of the transactions. But we looked at Frentech. I mean, like, just straight up, like, easy concept for anybody in crypto. Like, obviously, like, Frentech was kind of the only thing going on for like a month, right? So we all know what it is. Like, some people hated it, some people loved it. We looked at it as really interesting, and we were like, we were building this thing Nilly, which we should tell you about, but we were building that, and we're just sort of like, wait a second, like, what if those rooms were teams? Like, what if the room of each creator, like, I don't know this guy on Twitter, right? But like, what if every single thing that I saw was some familiar thing that I care about and is charged with meaning? And that was like the initial spark of a concept, was like, Frentech's cool, but I don't care really about these people. I don't know them. I wasn't that deep into crypto Twitter. So like, I wasn't that into the piece. But it's like, what if these were just charged with something that means something to a lot of people? And, you know, your sports team like is that. So that was the basic concept. And it was just like take the transaction fees, make that connected to real life, and it creates like a really fun experience.
So yeah, I want to talk about Nilly in a second, but I think like the things that I would call out here are bracket game is like the prime example of what a product that could be experienced by mainstream audiences is like. Right, you can onboard with an email address. I know you have launched with DGen, but I think the intention long term is for it to be a US dollar equivalent.
Yeah.
And so it was the first time where I'm like, oh, I could give this maybe not to my mom or my dad, but definitely to a friend who's not, you know, who's internet literate, but not like deep in crypto, and they would be able to. And I think Josh has had this experience in actually sending it to friends and this being like a re-engagement point for folks. And
Cool.
and so you're you're sponsoring transactions and it's using passkeys. It's like a really great example. So I've had a number of builders reach out wanting to talk to you guys, I think, because they've seen this as like a prime example of how a user experience and onboarding should be. So I think there's something interesting there. And maybe if you can just like dive in a little bit to some of the design decisions you made there. And if you could touch on why DGen, because I think that's also a really compelling integration.
Cool. John, talk design. Now, John's like.
Yeah, I mean, to me, so I'm kind of product designer. Like to me, it's a non-starter if my mom, who by the way also uses this app, can't use the app. It's not going to work. Like that's just the bottom line. Like honestly, like my grandmother should be able to get an account and follow her favorite team. And you know, the sports fans, like there's so many of these people, and like it kind of like I think touching on this, like the back side of it. I think that on the front side of this app, right, it's a fun game that you can play, but on the back end, there's this aspect of the collective piece. But you know, basically, these collectives are already popping up all over the country with the NIL rules in sports. I don't know how much our audience like knows about this or not, but for the first time ever, players are able to kind of leverage their name, image, and likeness. So there's all these collectives popping up. And, you know, I think Tim and I basically sat down and said, like, how can we onboard all of these fans into their collectives, basically? And, you know, allow them to kind of build it up from the bottom instead of having some guy, you know, some whales booster start a nonprofit, solicit donations from the fan base, and, you know, now make all of the decisions. What would it look like if it was a free market where the fans set the price and we build a game on the front side to build liquidity for the treasury? So it's basically this kind of virtuous circle. This is what I mean when I think people, when they realize like there's a lot of depth here, it's going to unlock kind of that aha moment for people.
Yeah, so I think that's design. Like one design principle we have is like, how insanely simple can we keep it on the surface? But then how can we create depth and complexity that the more you use the simple mechanism, because it's like, it's one price. Like that's my team, that's the price. There aren't like multiple lines. There isn't like plus 3.5. Just like team price, super easy. Look at them all compared, super simple. The amount of strategy that you can use, like, am I going to treat this team like, is Kansas City, we did an NFL test net, are they going to moon because of Taylor Swift fans coming into the game, right? Even if the team's not winning, are they still going to moon because they're popular? No one in Las Vegas can answer that question. Like, that's the element of a meme coin, right? So it's like this fun of blending the way that meme coin works with the way that prediction markets work. Blending them makes it more fun, in our opinion, because it allows for more unknowns and people can have their own way of doing this simple mechanism. Why did I buy the teams that I bought, right? Because I love it, or because I think other people will love it, or because I think they'll win, or because I think they'll win next year. These are all valid responses. So our design principle is like, allow complexity in the game, but meet people with insane simplicity where they're like, oh yeah, I'll just get that because I like that team and it has that low price. Okay, cool. And now you learn more tomorrow or the next day. It's like, this is real guiding for us, is like, don't overwhelm. Some people still say it's still kind of intimidating. I see all this price, I don't know what to do. It's like the least intimidating that we could possibly make it.
You just got to click buttons. That's the answer. Is the default.
Yeah,
answer.
For sure. And then learn, and have fun. And about DGen, the core thing is that John and I are Farcaster native, and just that being able, it makes so much sense for us. That's where a lot of our power users, people who are really excited, have been in our test net, love experimenting. So at first, I'm actually kind of inherently skeptical of any meme coin, excluding Enjoy, excluding, right. There are certain exceptions that that are just immediately, obviously above board. But, there's so many out there, right? And it's you never know which ones are going to hit. And I don't get into the business of trying to figure it out. Super impressed with just the professionalism and thoughtfulness. John and I are game makers, and watching the game that JSIC made and that the community's made with them is it's really cool. It's really impressive. I've just watched over time. And so to me, it's funny name, funny meme, but even somebody, I'm this is actually legit. This is super interesting.
Yeah.
This is cool. And Farcaster native. So we basically got to a point where it's the USDC experience for us, we don't want fans to have to worry about a coin moving price and the team moving at the same time. It's too confusing, right? Did my portfolio go down because of the coin or because of the team? It's just it's kind of too many moving parts. Crypto people are cool with it, right? So USDC wasn't quite there for the experience of USDC wasn't quite there. It's almost there, maybe a month away, right? Maybe 2 weeks away, maybe 2 months away. It's almost there. We didn't feel like it was there. And so we were look, March Madness is here. DGen is awesome. We love Farcaster. Let's do it. Let's do this. This is the right move than creating a subpar experience with USDC. So it's kind of a game time decision for us, but I think DGen's going to be a going version for us. It's been amazing already. I think we're working on getting some normies into this. Maybe they'll surprise us how much they playing with that.
I was watching the DGen price start ticking up as soon as Bracket the Game launched. I don't know if it's related. I can't comment on. Who knows, right? But it definitely did. Josh, I feel like you have a comment here, and then we should let these gentlemen go back to clicking the buttons to make Bracket Game work.
Yeah, I think I actually tweeted this morning, and this has just kind of captivated my mind, I think, since we started talking, but even before that. And so I tweeted the question of what percentage of the attention and cultural value of a sports team do you think is actually captured through ticket sales, TV deals, merch, and stored in the equity value of the org? Interesting. And my bet is that it's very, very low. And I think things like what you guys are building, I do think there's a huge opportunity in consensus meme coins for sports teams. Maybe you guys kind of go after that market. But I think it's going to become very, very obvious how leaky the traditional sports team ownership equity model is when these kind of bottoms up, decentralized value capturing mechanisms start emerging.
Wow.
Absolutely. That's really insightful, man. I think that you're on the same page with us on that. These communities are I always think of, I tell Tim this all the time. It's there's all these people out here, they all know each other, in the physical world, and that nothing is integrating these fan bases at all. People have tried to build different platforms, and no one's really found the right mechanic, kind of click it. So I think that's what we're going for.
I love to hear what you guys say, because for me, it's I love to hear that analysis is so smart. And all I'm trying to do is can we make something that I know people are going to have fun with? I'm 100% sure it's going to be super fun. Nobody's done it before. It's exciting for me because I'm just so laser focused on that. And John too, this this analysis, like, oh yeah, like that is actually a really fucking good idea.
I got accused of somebody told me that we can't intellectualize meme coins, and I think that is completely not true. I mean, it's true at some stuff. Like, let's not overthink things, but also I think there's like a big ripe set of ideas to explore around it. So if you're listening here, you can still go be early. Bracket.game, got to bridge some degen in. As I said on Twitter yesterday, I'm tall. I don't play basketball. I've never followed this, and now I've got like 3 tabs open, knowing what's happening. I don't know what's happening. I'm back in. I'm a sports fan again. I'm a Canucks bandwagon fan, so I'm back into the Canucks right now, and I'm following March Madness. So thank you for that, and or maybe not.
We got live here. He's buying.
I'm trying to
buy stuff.
I want in. Who's gonna win? Send me yes.
Let's go.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
Dude,
all right, guys.
Close, man.
Thanks so much for jumping on here with us today. I know you have a crazy probably weekend ahead or a couple weeks ahead of you.
DM us on Forecaster at TLDR. John's at passivefume.e.
At John Passivefume.
Yeah, we want to hear what everybody thinks. What's working for you? What's not working for you? Like, we're just loving engaging with everybody.
Amazing.
Love it. Yeah, go play this game. It's simple on the surface, but gets kind of the more you think about it, there's some really interesting game theory that's going to.
I don't know what my strategy has changed 3 times, and I don't know what I'm doing.
I love that, dude.
Go click some buttons, have some fun.
We don't know what the right answer is. That's what's fun about it.
Yeah.
We have no idea.
Part 2 after March Madness. We'll have all the answers here.
Right on. All right, thanks, guys.
Good to see y'all.
Thanks. Peace.
Take care.
Bye.
I mean, I love this because I'm not sure if we were talking about this on Internet Explorers, but I know you and I have had many conversations about, we talk a lot about the social context for meme coins. I think we were actually talking about golf, right? Like, can you imagine a meme coin for golf players? And just because like betting on golf is actually like a atrocious experience right now, frankly. But I think we sort of, you were talking about it in a bit of a wider sense around sort of sports meme coins. And
right. Yeah.
It's
like sport. I think we were talking about golf. Yeah, meme coins with golf players where it's I don't know if there's like a percentage of their winnings went into some pool, or I don't know. We were
just
getting
to buy the token or something.
But I think there's just so many interesting applications there. All right, so should we move on?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
no.
You got something to say?
I need you to tell me what teams am I buying here?
Oh, dude, we have no idea.
Well, so the beautiful thing about March Madness is like you truly have no idea. It's like I think it's like one game knockout, huge tournament. Like there's all sorts of upsets. But I think
the thing to do, I think, is so the bottom of the bonding curve is 69.
Chill.
The thing to do is like buy the highest ranked like cheap team you can find and hope they just go on a run. Because like as teams get eliminated, people will jump over onto teams that are still alive, and hopefully you can. But
I think there's sort of like the be early play here, which I think exists. Many of these teams are already knocked out, right? The tournament has started yesterday, so you kind of need to figure that out. But I think the interesting thing is like this is going to be persistent, so it doesn't reset. Like you don't lose all your voting shares when this is over. So like there's sort of like the belief in the future of this platform and the future of these teams and attention, etc. That's sort of one game. And then there's like that specific tournament game that's happening right now, which is like why you see the top seeds and UConn, etc. getting the most shares. So it's multi-layered, and that's why it's very difficult to know what the right place is there. And I think that's ultimately what makes it fun. Like I still hold some San Francisco 49ers shares from the testnet game, and I bought some Seahawks because I just, regional support, Cascadia, let's go. It's fun. I think like the opportunity today is just to go click buttons on these new things. We're very interested in social contexts that are being created, very interested in simple experiences. And I like the idea of sort of simple experiences with like a lot of nuance to the gameplay. So
it's sick.
Yeah.
Gotta say, passkey on desktop, not that bad either.
It's not that bad.
Very chill.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Better than a ledger.
Oh my God. Yeah. Though, yeah, we'll see. Yeah. There's an Apple hardware vulnerability that was announced today that I didn't read enough in, but it sounds like it's
Beautiful.
no bueno. So
That's great.
Keep that hardware wallet, please, like for most things that you have value around. All right, let's move on. I like that they have this topic up here because I have no idea what to say about it, really. So
I mean, that's exactly why I put it up here. So basically, the backstory. I mean, you mentioned it a minute ago, but we're just like having a ton of fun over intellectualizing meme coins because I mean, Seed Club is basically just over intellectualization as a service. Like that's what we do here. And I think we were also pretty early in realizing that meme coins deserve to be over intellectualized. So I think people can give us a break for that. But yeah, anyways, I think this week I casted, piece heads up here. That what we're building with Enjoy isn't a meme coin. It's actually a scene coin. And I think I was like walking and just kind of fired this off pretty offhandedly as
in the jungle.
As one in the jungle, as one does. And then, Jess, you really liked it and started testing the language out a bit more in the wild. And I think it's been getting a nice reception. So just kind of wanted to create some space to tease the idea out a bit more here. So I think like the core insight that I think I was kind of playing off of was just, realizing, and it's likely obvious, but that not all meme coins are alike, or what we call meme coins right now is actually, we're probably using it to describe too broad of a surface area. And I think like a really obvious initial distinction potentially to make is between, meme coins and what we're starting to call scene coins. So meme coins are the vast majority of what, you see if you scroll like Deck Screen or anything. So Doge, Pepe, Popcat, Bowden, these things that derive their value from the attention that exists on the underlying.
Josh just mentioning his bags.
Just mentioning my bag. Actually, I only own 2 of those 4. So, creating space for other people. But so they're cultural prediction markets. They're a bet that the meme will attract more attention over time. Obviously, like going, you need a good team and a good meme to go 0 to 1 and kind of become the like cultural shelling point for that meme. But to borrow Derek's term, like they have no external dependencies or little external dependencies once they kind of break through and become the consensus shelling point. And I think an important distinction is things that we're now calling scene coins, which ultimately like derive their value, I think, from the like collective time, energy, and money that people are devoting to the underlying scene, and ultimately like the desirability of the people it's able to attract. So I think DGen is probably the canonical example here, where it's not the cultural shelling point for the DGen meme, right? But rather it's this like coordination asset for a scene of Farcaster and base builders that are fascinated with crypto economic social experiments, or I don't know the exact right to label them, but something like that, right? So its value is ultimately just being derived from its ubiquity within this growing Farcaster ecosystem, and what we've seen recently, the desirability to actually like tap into that scene, right? So we're seeing VCs buy the token to signal their alignment with builders. We're seeing new projects integrate the token to bootstrap liquidity and engagement. We're seeing builders use it as just like a primitive to run experiments on top of. So I think that distinction feels important. Obviously, we need to over intellectualize it a bit more probably, but feels like there's something there.
Yeah, I think it comes down. I think that's a great description. I think it comes down to like I sort of described it as like attention plus identity versus just attention in the meme coins, which I think that's kind of right. And then really like the approach of how you go launch one of these things and how you grow them is very different, right? So like I described, like launching a meme coin is the smart way to go do it is to launch it quietly and small, get the cabal involved and kind of run it up. And it's really like this price chart that's driving attention, and the shelling point is really, or I think you call it consensus meme coins, right? It's really like probably a measure of liquidity and holder numbers and like what that price chart is doing. And I think it's contrasted to like DGen, which I think like the brilliance of that project is this sort of being very abundant in the distribution and being thoughtful about how that distribution happens, right? So it started with an airdrop to get an initial group of people interested, and it was pretty focused, a couple thousand people or less. And then this tipping function as a way of sort of using social activity that people are taking to distribute that further. And what that's resulted in is tens of thousands. I don't know how many holders are, but I would say it's probably north of, at this point, it's run up like crazy. It's like, let's just say tens of thousands of people who hold it. And now there's like this group of people that are doing things that other people want to tap into. And so this integration point, I think we talked about Dracula integrating it last week, and we're kind of flagging, hey, that's actually a pretty meaningful thing. Bracket doing it, Pearl's doing it, probably a bunch of others I'm not even remembering right now. And the intention is really, how do we go tap into that vibrant scene that exists, and this token becomes an incredible alignment tool there. And so I think it's about thinking about how can you go wide and effectively put tokens in the hands of people that have some level of shared identity, and then like what is like the mechanism that actually starts to get a flywheel going where value continues to sort of accrue, and value in this is probably like increased attention and belief in this underlying thing. And so if you look at degen as an example, it's tipping into integrations, it's integrations into the degen L3, whatever the hell that is, so there's sort of like this series of narratives and interesting points that you can imagine more to come from it. So who knows where this goes? I think, we've been on this thesis from day one at Seed Club. I love that we're back into social token era here, right? Which felt like it's just gone through a bunch of different, machinations to get here. But the core belief is that like, wow, here's this amazing thing. If you just get a bunch of people who believe in the value of a thing, all of a sudden it's valuable. Like that should blow people's brains. And I think degen's a great example of that. And I think, it's really taken our thinking around Enjoy from like, oh, the first meme coin on Zora to actually there is a scene of on-chain creators and collectors here. How can we actually do a really, elegant and simple way of distributing it? So I think there's a fun launch that'll come out next week that'll sort of start to represent value in as an on-chain creator that will then be the basis for the sort of tipping in comments on Zora. And really the goal there is like, how do you tap into the community to put those tokens in the hands of people that they value and then grow the pie? And then of course you can imagine, all sorts of things wanting to integrate or build on top of, or new tools that start to emerge from it here. So there seems to be like maybe Scene Coins is kind of like a community token analog, but I think Scene has grown on me quite more and feels like it's actually a better, because I think there's also this whole piece of like, if 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, all of these things would be DAOs, right? And there'd be governance, and there's sort of belief in these things are governance tokens. And I think we just but I think that was all for the most part bullshit. Like I think you're not owning a Uniswap token because you want to govern the Uniswap protocol. I mean, most people aren't, right? There's some belief in the meme, in the brand, in the product that's being built there. And so I think like seeing a lot of that, I think this is like a much more honest take on tokens today. And I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I was having that same line of thinking about how like degen would have been a DAO with a treasury, would have got bogged down in governance. People would be like pointing to the asset value in the treasury as like some valuing mechanism for it. And that's just not what these things are about. Yeah.
I think it's ushering in an era of moving away from sort of scarcity. I think governance value equals scarcity around the token. You need to be thoughtful about who holds these things, and into one where there's more of a less preciousness, more abundance, more about broader distributions. And I think that's just like a general trend we've seen in on-chain creation and tokens. Look at NFTs, you look at ERC20s generally. And so I think that for people who are thinking about launching things or project creators, I think we're seeing the early stages of these experiments being run. And I would point to degen. I'd point to Optimism versus Arbitrum as another really great pair to look at. Very different distribution mechanisms. Many people, I think, are looking at Optimism and be like, well, why would you give away millions of dollars to creators, right? Well, maybe, just maybe, block space is a commodity, and really what matters is belief and attention and the sort of sense of and brand. Yeah. And so I'm pretty on that brand point being the differentiator here long term. And so that's why I'm paying close attention to those things.
Yep. Love it. Okay, let's jump to new attention economy. So this is just a kind of mini post by Lee this week. That was good. Really just like highlighting, something we've talked a lot about and thought a lot about, highlighting the inefficiencies and market failures of the Web2 attention economy, and really just, suggesting that tokens will, have the potential to, provide a bunch of improvements to it. I think something when we were talking about it, maybe, I don't know, six-ish months ago, when you talked about it first, I was kind of, thinking a lot about what like percent of the attention value of Mr. Beast is actually captured running ads and selling chocolate bars. I think kind of gets back to the question I asked about sports teams too, right? Like what percentage of the interest and belief in sports teams is captured through ticket sales and TV deals. And they both just feel obviously very low. And then I think, if you think of the Mr. Beast example, like if there were if there's a Mr. Beast meme coin, or Mr. Beast is releasing NFTs, like would that value that gets captured and created be larger than, the equity value of the chocolate bars or the ad deals or something? And
you see it with Mr. Beast already. Like the whole point of the chocolate bar was that he wasn't able to actually get enough advertisers to pay the value of the attention that was coming out. So he launched this thing, which is like a whole big or physical products. You have to like get ingredients, you have to package them up, you have to ship them out.
Dude, but imagine chocolate coins,
dude. I live on a place where you need to take a ferry to, and growing up, you'd have pirate packs, and pirate packs were like a burger and French fries, and a little chocolate coin along with like your ice cream. And so I've been a chocolate coin stan from age 3 up, man. So you give me a chocolate coin, I'm down. I think that the thing that is interesting to me around this sort of attention, the value of attention argument is like, I still think there's like a belief that it's going to be platforms that capture this value versus like tokens. And I'm not sure that's correct, right? And so like you sort of, I think Chris Dixon in his book talks a lot about sort of like casino versus the computer. And he's kind of making an argument that it's like, the smart contracts or the platforms, the computer, that's the big innovation, and ultimately where the most valuable things will live. And I think there's clearly, I want to see a tokenized Uber competitor. Like I want to see all that sort of stuff. But I think it's a big mistake to just dismiss all of these attention assets as casinos, because I think there are plenty of examples. In fact, like what are there? 3 business models on the internet. There's SaaS, they're selling a product directly, and then there's advertising or attention. And that advertising and attention is the thing that drives, Facebook, one of the most valuable companies in the world, et cetera. And so there's clearly value in attention, even for the computer. And I think like it's probably a mistake to think that that this sort of Web 2 model of the networks themselves or the platforms where they have some sort of aggregation being the place where most of that value is versus the actual asset attention. So maybe the right way to look at it is Solana or Ethereum is the platform, and the token is actually the product on it. I'm sure it's more than that, but I think it would be a mistake to completely discount it. And that's also why I think this intellectualizing meme coins or attention things is a very worthwhile pursuit, because I think there's actually a large group of people who still do not see the world in that way. And I think that is actually probably the opportunity for founders and for launchers of these tokens to go after.
Yeah, we need to write the fat token thesis, I think.
I really loved, just on the other side of this, I really loved seeing, I don't know if this was a response to anything, but Poof presenting that we are in a post-attention economy and that attention is worthless and attention is spam. And I feel like, that's an interesting reaction, because I can't parse it all the way either. It's worth intellectualizing. But what I do think is interesting, I guess, is this attention is worthless thing is really what captures my attention here, and seeing how fast attention moves, or like, is it worthless? Hard to say. We just saw a lot happen in 1 week, but I don't know. I'm actually really interested to think about. I think he's saying a similar thing to Li Jin, actually, in being like, it has to be beyond advertising, because he's talking about the spam. Like when all of a sudden everyone becomes a walking advertisement to capture attention, that attention does become very low value. I don't know.
I actually think the opportunity with tokens isn't just them being a more efficient way to capture existing attention value. It actually it extends the entertainment value, the ways you can participate in a thing in a way that just actually creates a ton of net new value that the platform or the brand will actually just never be able to capture itself, because it's not just storing, it's actually creating this whole new.
That's right. This is
line of opportunity.
This is such a good take. Basically, ideology machines greater than attention. John Prati understood this when his early viral media peaked and crashed. Blood sugar spike and crash. You need sticky media.
Yeah, I mean, the original tweet makes no sense to me, but I'm sure Poof is very smart, so I'm sure in a conversation we'd probably align on much more. But I do like this distinction. I think it's kind of what we're getting at with scene coins versus meme coins. Like meme coins are probably going to be very volatile, etc. I mean, scene coins probably will as well. But the sense is that there's like more of an underlying substrata there of belief and identity and meaning that maybe is important for the longevity of these things. But clearly, attention is valuable. Like this is like.
Of course.
Yeah. I like it. I like it when it makes my face go like, "What are you talking about?"
I know. Well,
I mean, it's so
we're on
provocative.
Twitter.com, you know. So
Yeah. X.com.
Right. Yeah.
X,
Pardon me.
come on.
Sorry.
Elon's going to slide into this stream and blow it up here and
I'm
deprioritize
I
their
still
stuff.
type Twitter. I still type Twitter every day.
Me too.
And we'll continue doing that. The day it stops redirecting is the day maybe I stop using it. All right.
Tweets are the thing. It's still a thing.
Let's move. Let's jump to this. Yeah, NBA in context betting. I found this. I mean, just hilarious because of how just like immediately familiar and comfortable it felt. Piece, you gonna?
I don't know. Let me see if I can find it in the notes here. In context betting.
Yeah, click that one.
I know we're. This is like really behind the curtain now.
You know, it's just like
the Google Doc.
Yeah, you just saw the behind the scenes of Internet Explorers. So the NBA announced they're integrating live betting into NBA League Game Pass, which is basically their like all access streaming product. And I found it funny how just like hilariously familiar this felt. Like you could be looking at Unlonely or like countless other crypto products, right? And I think also funny was just how my immediate reaction was to hate this, even though I enjoy sports betting. Preach creating context people want to transact within is like a core goal of consumer crypto builders, and just like I'm very pro speculation, but this just, I don't know, this feels like shitty to me for some reason, or it's like over financialization of something that I value for other reasons, or we already have like just so much more pure forms of speculation in crypto that are just like better speculative games. I would almost rather like sports that I want to watch for like the competition and the drama and whatever, just not go this route or something. I don't know. It was just a funny.
Oh,
I was just
damn.
Meme coin. What are they adding?
So they're adding like tickers to the actual game, or
yes,
like
this is like
not tickers, but the actual like betting information.
Meme Coin Bull complains about over financialization of sports teams after he just preached about exciting how tokens. But I think the Unlonely, it feels like actually like Unlonely with vibes is maybe a more pure and interesting mechanism there than betting. So I think for me, it sort of feels like an awkward integration. It's like
right.
Maybe this is like newspapers on the internet, right? Here, let's go download the PDF, and really like a meme coin is probably the actual thing. And trade. Because I think that the thing that maybe it's important to note, like the trading, so social context, the belief. You imagine if that was like imagine that's enjoy in there instead of something, and people are trading on that, like buying and selling on that point. There's a ton of transaction fees that are being generated from it there, and
totally.
maybe it's not quite as lucrative as like 51% of people losing all their money, but I think it's potential scale there is pretty big. So I love the friction you feel in seeing that though, Josh.
Yeah,
it feels like
it's funny. I was like, why am I feeling like this? This is not like me. But it's also funny, like these are two crypto people, right?
Yeah, it's so
like
sick.
This is so gross. Cal, who we had on 2 weeks ago to talk about meme coins, like hates this. So it's
what?
It's honestly beautiful. I mean, with it. The nuance is so important. Like stay in your lane a little bit.
Well, and also it is just so ridiculous that we have all this bullshit limitations and regulations that are so incomplete in crypto, and yet we have the government backing what is like a completely gamed system to take people's money, which is like the traditional like lottos and sports betting. And so that's the thing that maybe offends me more than anything. It's like how are we going to go out and make gambling legal and advertise it and get people onto this stuff, and you're going to tell me we can't build infrastructure to and you're telling me we can't go build infrastructure for decentralized creators to go do amazing things? Like, give me a break, get out of here.
Yeah, for sure. I think I read Pompliano, whatever. I think sports business is super interesting. It has a good newsletter, and he was talking about how it's kind of like U.S. sports are going the path of UK sports, and they are now trying to actually do a 180 because they're like, oh shit, we've gone way too far. Gambling has become like too integrated into everything that people care about in our sports, and are trying to like back out. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we have some fun drama in the Los Angeles Dodgers and betting scandals and all sorts of stuff. It's very, very. It's funny to look at crypto through that lens. It's like, oh, there's some parallels here.
Totally.
This is like slurf, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just lost my money. I don't know how it happened. Send me more. What are we talking about? Botto. Botto's back in the news.
Yes, they just announced a raise. They could have raised it like 2 years ago or something, but announced it. I've been wanting to talk about Botto for a bit. It's come up in a few conversations we had leading up to SEO7. Actually, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Like it's like Botto for this other opportunity. And I figured just kind of touching on like what Botto has done well, I think is actually pretty useful for potential DAO builders or just consumer crypto builders. Because I guess to back up, Botto's an autonomous AI artist that's guided and assisted by human voting feedback, basically. So every week, Botto, it's a pretty cool system. Botto like self-prompts its art model with prompts. It then takes those outputs and puts it into a taste model, which then selects what it thinks are I think it's like 300 or 350 of the best outputs from that model, which then goes to token holders to actually vote on the one that goes to auction that week. And the top vote, it gets auctioned off, and then the revenue gets divided between the DAO treasury so they can continue, growing and proliferating this thing. And token holders, I think maybe voters of the one that actually won get more or something. There's some interesting mechanics there, and then the votes actually get fed back into the prompt generator and taste model to continue improving it. So it's one of the few like social cultural DAOs that have sustained through the last cycle and seemingly have been thriving. So they've generated over $4 million in sales to date. There's a Christie sale. I just checked, and they pretty consistently sell for like 10 to 30K every week. They just announced a raise, so pretty cool to see. And I think the reasons for their success are twofold. One, they've built a great DAO contributor product, which I'll talk about in a sec. We've talked about a bunch, and they've also, I think, they've really smartly focused their collective action in this very like narrow and clear output. So we've talked endlessly about people wanting to have ownership experiences, not ownership responsibilities, and how many DAOs failed because they just expected a bunch of people to come and show up and do things that felt like work. But I think what Botto has done so well from the start is being a contributor to the Botto DAO has just felt like a cool kind of social consumer experience that also happens to have rev share upside. So I think they've done that really well. And then also just, the focus of the DAO, right? Like so many other DAOs kind of fell down this path of like trying to do anything that anyone within the DAO could conceive of. I think Botto has a clear antidote to that. They just are trying to work with this AI model to produce the best piece of art and output they can every week. And, obviously from there, if that succeeds, you can expand your capabilities, but like getting some core function right and really focusing this swarm of people on something core is just like so important. And, we're another example of that, right? Like we've just been very, very focused on getting this accelerator right and, having the best in class consumer crypto accelerator. And then from there you can layer on other things. So just kind of, been wanting to talk about it, haven't talked about it. So just wanted to bring this up.
Yeah. I am a Botto holder and voter, and
oh, nice. I didn't know that.
So I think it's, they did an airdrop back in the day, so I think I still held some from that, and I bought some more earlier this year. I mean, clearly the AI narrative is a big part of it, but I think what is the point you're sort of laid out there is it feels like a very clear closed loop. Like you can, it's very easy to get in, do something, have that represented in an action that comes out, and then see how that creates value, and then how if that loop just continues to grow and be more effective, how that's going to be more valuable in the future. It is like a very easy, fun thing to get into. I think, if you think about governance as like read proposals and vote on proposals, like very, very much work versus let me click on which button I like and then go, or which image I like and then move on to the next one. Very, very effortless. And then you see the results from it. And so I think like I just have a deep affinity for like vending machines in crypto. I think like, I've probably talked about Neelastics before, which I think Simon created a while back, the sense of like, these things can probably just go out and exist forever without even human beings needing to do something. And they'll just, as long as there's some attention and people clicking buttons, or heck, I mean, probably don't even need people eventually. It's going to continue to go on and create. So there's like these economic robots out in the world. That's just fascinating to me. That's actually the thing that got me into crypto in the first place was, the original DAO. And this is just like a very simple, easy to understand. It's some jankiness to it still a little bit, but you can just see how that's going to improve over time. And, didn't know they'd raise some money. I love it. I mean, I think what Botto got right is they survived and they just kept on building and doing. And, if you look at their price chart, there's a lot of reasons why you might have thought this thing would have died before. And they've just been very focused. They got an incredible team behind them. And so Yeah, I absolutely love that they're getting more attention. I obviously haven't checked my bags for a little while here, so this is lovely. But yeah, you see the airdrop pump right there, and then a whole lot of like the trough of disillusionment followed by like a fake pump.
It's breaking resistance.
Oh yes, throw the tea leaves on the ground and let's go all in. But I think you, like, to your point, Josh, like this model could be applied to many more things, right? This applied to meme coins. This applied to what else, right? And it's very simple, hard to do probably in practice and in other categories, but the concept is super simple. So if you're building something like this, we want to talk to you. This would be
actually, I think it was like a meme coin production house or something was maybe when Bono came up in the last couple of weeks of conversations.
Interesting.
Like what if it was like kicking out, I don't know, relevant meme coins every week and had the structure and social context for it to like
Bono plus pump.fun.
There we go. It's cool. All right, yeah, let's jump to this week in meme coins. There are just a bunch of funny things that happened.
Do we have a new segment? We should have like
we might.
noise.
Yeah, we might. 5 minutes is perfect. So first one's obviously.
The look on your face, Josh.
Dude, that came through so clearly. I was like, I'm also in a place where roosters are not uncommon. So
you're like, how to get in?
I thought there was a rooster on my doorstep. Yeah, so let's start with Slurf. So we got more. Like he's just trying to fuck with us now. So Slurf is like obviously the hilarious, very shitty, unfortunate story of the week. So they raised 10 million in a pre-sale. Then the dev accidentally burned all the tokens that were set aside for the airdrop alongside the LP, had revoked minting permissions. So, this was obviously horrible for the dev and anyone that participated in the pre-sale. The like lore and trading conditions that it created were just irresistible to the meme coin community. And of course, it's gone crazy since. I think it peaked at like $700 million in market cap. People are talking about it as like the next blue chip. I think Andrew Kang, can you pull up what he said, because he just, I think, analyzed it perfectly. But anyways, like
I thought this was a really good response. Lawrence talking about this as like a publicity stunt and how to get attention, in this person saying respectfully, you don't understand the space.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if that was, yeah.
I think it's just like so funny how much this now just checks all the boxes of like what meme coin buyers look for. Yeah, there's like this burn narrative now because it's become deflationary. It's wild. You think you've tapped all the things that could possibly happen?
Well, and the beautiful thing is, I went and played a round of golf on Sunday and missed this entire saga. And
me too. You told me about it. You told me about it Monday. I was kind of like offline this weekend.
Oh my god!
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So the next one's AVAX. I think this is just cool. We talked about this actually back in December when AVAX Foundation first announced their plans to acquire a bunch of ecosystem meme coins, and it's funny how, and they've just continued leaning in since. But it was funny how back then it was like a pretty non-obvious thing to do, or actually maybe even a pretty controversial thing to do. And now it just seems like the most, obvious, inevitable thing that probably every ecosystem chain is going to do. So the AVAX has been buying, they have a fund set aside to buy up ecosystem meme coins. They also now, I think, put $1 million aside to incentivize liquidity across, top handful of them. But it's just so funny how quickly perceptions change. Like it's been 3 months and they've gone from just these kind of weird underground things to just being like an obvious high ROI thing for a chain to invest in and support.
That top tweet is so great. What? Well, I think like the world we're walking into right now is a world with like unlimited block space, right? So all these L2s, we'll get some L3s. Why not sprinkle them in? Still a ton of new L1s, and really like the name of the game is, can you get people to use these things? And that's proving relatively difficult because there's sort of power law here, right? You want to go build where the people are and the liquidity exists, and it doesn't exist in the long tail. And so I think, like, if you look at Blast, if you look at what Optimism's doing, if you look at what Avalanche Foundation are doing here, they're really trying to, I think they recognize this, and they're saying, well, we need to probably lean in hard and earlier and harder than others into this idea of that this is all about go to market and adoption and getting people here. And so, again, we talk a lot about sort of, say Farcaster adoption and like the resistance to doing a token there, or wanting to wait to do a token, or whatever that looks like. And I think often that gets looked at as sort of like that team looking negatively on tokens, but it's incredible what DGen has done for the growth of that platform. Like, without DGen being a part of that narrative, I don't think we would see the sort of adoption that we've seen there. And so it makes a ton of sense that other, infrastructure providers will look at this. I think building successful infra today is probably about building the first killer application on it, and also about capturing mimetic value in some way. And so supporting and leaning into early meme coins that are actually capturing that cultural attention should probably be on that list, the strategy list, if you're going to go and launch something here. And pretty confident we'll see more and more of this type of thing. I haven't dove into the specific plans here. It seems like it was like a ton of money. I don't know how effective they've been. So still controversial, I think, but I think it's a sign of a type of thing that will happen more and more.
Yeah. This next topic I have actually is just base season, which, very, very related. I think people have been calling for base season for a while, and it seems like it finally happened this week. And I, have no idea whether it's because of, Denkun lower fees, like, have anything to do with it, if the Solana meme coin was just getting saturated and people saw opportunity on base, or, maybe some coordinated effort by meme coin influencers or something. But it's gone crazy this week with meme coin activity. And yeah, I think, same thing, right? We're seeing, Jesse pretty quickly recognize the value that this brings to base. So he's, supporting these projects. But, users, transactions, volumes are all just way up week over week. And I think the funniest thing to do here is just compare the meme coins that emerge on base to the meme coins that are emerging on Solana. And you can just bask in the cultural legibility it provides, because they are wildly different worlds.
Yeah, different types of guys that are interested in different chains in certain ways. I think there's more of a crossover happening this week than maybe in the past. I think, we continue to look at L2s, at least in the near and midterm, as sort of like their own cultures or their own countries, and how their own cultures sort of emerge. And very clearly there's distinctions between a Blast and a Solana and a base. And I think we talked to teams that are interested, that looking at still challenged in figuring out where they should go build. And liquidity is and infrastructure is one of them, but like how aligned their product is with the types of guys that are active on these other chains is increasingly a topic that comes up. So yeah, kudos. And we're in a world right now where transactions are, the effect of blobs. We talked about blobs and not like, what's blob life going to look like? It has a massive impact on the cost of transactions right now, way down. And so, and also Solana is getting clogged up, and there's talk of Solana L2s. We're going to have a guest on next week that'll sort of jump into that. So narrative violations all over. We're in that stage of the cycle. Could be cool.
Solana subnets, baby. Let's go.
It seems like I would probably ape. I don't know. That just seems like the most obvious thing ever. You're building a Solana subnet. Come talk to us. I don't know what we do there, but it seems fun. This was our lightning round. We officially hit the lightning round. We are also officially always hitting the 11:05 or an hour and 5. I love it. Episode 21 of Internet Explorers. I love doing these shows. I love that you folks seem to like them. So just deep appreciation for everybody who continues to show up. The chat has been full of wonderful things today. Some emojis. We got some fun stuff planned with Internet Explorer. Some advancements, some new things coming up. So continue to show up. Collect that episode on pods.media. You can do it in the chat. You can do it for free through our Farcaster channels. You can do it on pods.media as well. They've come up with a real fun decentralized RSS feed there, so you can actually own your own RSS feed. Really excited about the tools that team is building. We got exciting announcements next week with announcing our SEO7 teams. So stoked to get those out into the world and start working with these folks. And I think we're going to do something fun at FarCon, thinking about running a consumer crypto side event there. So if you're interested in joining, if you're on the fence of thinking about whether you should be in LA in May, we want to give you maybe one more reason to come hang out. We're going to do a live recording of Internet Explorers there, along with a bunch of other fun stuff as well. So don't know those dates specifically. You can find it in the FarCon channel on Farcaster. Put that on your list. Anything else, Josh?
No, early. It's early May, first week of May.
Early May.
May 3rd or 4th or something.
All right, folks, thank you for hanging out with us today. Back again next week, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time at live.seedclub.xyz. Appreciate you deeply, and we'll see you on the internet.